Hey everyone, Happy New Year! In this video, I wanted to share with you a little bit of my Happy New Year journaling. This is a little glimpse to what I like to do at the start of every year. And I think I do it differently every year. This is the first time I do it with this little journaling set. So first I'll show you what's included in the set. So you have the cover. Here's another little page. So here are 7 questions, which are questions that I like to ask myself at the start of the new year, related to the past year and looking forward to the new one. And here are some little boxes, a place where I can answer those questions. Then I have some little text, some little phrases, more pictures, more text and phrases, and a note to self, and then ending with a January calendar. So the calendar is something that I like to use for anything, really. Can be some ways I like to take care of myself this month, some creative projects and ideas I'd like to try out. I started filling one up with my daughter as a way to do something fun together each day. So here's the start to that version. Anyway, so I'm going to take you along as I create my little New Year journal. There's no plan yet. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this. I'm taking you along with no plan and just see where it goes, see where it leads. I think that's a bit the start of the year. We're all eager. I'm excited about some of the things that are happening this year, but I don't have it all figured out. I don't have it planned out. I don't have it organized to a T, and that's okay. All I do know is I want to take some time to ponder, reflect, and write down these questions because this will be a big deciding factor as to how my year goes. So I have this little notebook to work with. And I think this is something that you could include in a journal that you already have, or maybe you already have a pretty notebook that you like to write. And this could be just something that you cut and glue into that journal. I have loads of journals as well, but I thought of, well, it's a new year. It's a chance to start something new. And maybe this will be my little New Year's journal. It could be for as many years as I want it to be. I think the month of January is really a time for reflection and stilling my mind, stilling my body in some way, which gives me more time and space to tank up, fill up, maybe write or create or draw. So I want that book to be for that. Maybe I'll get started with the cover. Like, it doesn't really fit, but maybe there's a way to make it fit. Where I cover a little bit of this part. Just for fun, I'm going to look through my papers and see if there's anything that would match. So this is my book that has a little bit of pinks and blues, which kind of goes along with my theme and pinks and blues of this set. Oh, I do like this one or this one. It kind of looks like a New Year thing, like the fireworks. I think I'm going to go with this one. So I might put this on the cover and this on the back. So I decided this year that I'm also going to be using my beautiful things, my beautiful books, my beautiful papers. So that's a great start. It's sad to cover this part, but I'm going to try and save as much as I can from it. I'm just measuring how much I will need. I won't need it up to here because I will have this fold. So maybe here. I'm going to measure, make sure it's all straight. I have a little punch to round the ends. I'm just going to glue it down. I think a stick glue will work okay. I don't want the paper to bubble up either. So make sure that the edges are really well glued down. It's going to be right at the edge. Sure it's straight before I push it down. Then I'm going to do this side, then fold this over. That covers it nicely. So it doesn't take a lot of time and effort to cover a book, but I think it makes such a difference. Inviting me to come back to it and how I use it just makes me want to open it. And I think I could even use some of this paper throughout if I wanted to. Because now it kind of match alongside the back. I would like bringing in a little bit of that. Maybe putting a little piece of it on the cover as a little piece of tape or something. Could even put a piece there and write my name on it. So this is my little time to get creative. So I go with the flow, whatever calls out to me, whatever leads me. So now is the big job to cut. But at the same time, I'm really learning to enjoy the process of doing each thing, even cutting it out. Even though it's so monotonous and routine, I think it's part of creating the journal, part of what makes it good for us. Just clears our mind, even though, yeah, my mind is thinking away while I'm still cutting. But it's kind of making me dwell and ponder what I want to include in it. And maybe it's preparing my heart for answering the questions as well. This is your self-care time, which is why I've titled it Personal Self-Care. So actually, maybe I'll even include that somewhere in my journal. I want each project, each journal, each creative thing I do to be a gift for my self-care this year. Even though I've grown in many ways in that area, I've done many projects as well. I think there's always still room for growth, because otherwise, what fun would it be starting a new year if I knew there was nothing else ahead for me, nothing else to learn or explore or experience. So I'm definitely going to add this somewhere, whether I put it on the... Oh, I do like it there. I could have added it there or here. Oh boy, decisions. Not so great with that. But there's a little blank here. I'm going to even glue it right now before I talk myself out of it. I was thinking about that this morning. I seem to talk myself out of a lot of things. It's not just self-doubt, it's almost self-negative talk, self-judgment. I'm like, even creating this, I got all down on myself. Not down, but all judgy at myself. And yes, you're just wasting time. You could be using your time doing so many other things. I'm like, I'm not listening to that. I'm going to silence that voice this year. It's funny that a lot of things that I tell myself or think about or imagine, I automatically tell myself, oh, I'm going to do this year, or I'm not going to do this year. I've been catching myself doing that so much these days, and I don't remember that about any other year. I think I would have to intentionally write down an affirmation or positive thought for me to feel into it or start believing it or knowing it deep inside. But lately I've been like, that's good enough. I'm saying it, I'm telling it, I'm reminding it to myself. I'm saying it out loud. Sometimes I write it down. Oh, I'm not thinking while I'm doing this, but I think I'm going to just cut these roughly for now because I don't want to lose any. I like to scatter these around my journal. So I'm just going to put those to the side and get rid of the papers as I go. Otherwise, I might lose something or throw away something that I don't want to throw out. These are the big important things. These are the 7 questions that I like to ask myself. I got inspired from Mel Robbins. For any of you who follow her online, her and her family do these questions every year. I thought, why not? Why not for me and my family? So I passed them on to my kids, I passed them on to my husband, and we all took a quiet time to reflect on these. And I took an extra quiet time to create this. I can't just write it down in my journal without also making it pretty in some way. And these little papers here are not super important, but they are important to me to beautify my journal. So these numbers and the questions are actually in the order, but I don't think it really matters. You can do it in whatever order you want. I'm going to leave them like this. So I don't know yet if I'm going to use all these pictures and little decorations, but if I cut them out, I'll definitely use it for something else. It won't go to waste.
I have a couple extra boxes, this one and one more here and this one, and I'm just going to add some quotes, I think, or write my own quotes relating to this year. Actually, this month, I've made it my focus to be still, to reflect, to get quiet, to go slower, to really reflect on things. I think it's a beautiful month to do that when nature also reminds us of that. Go into our own little cocooning, take the rest, take the breaks that we need. So I'm in the middle of creating a little tea time treasure pack all on that topic. This is what really actually got me going with this one, focusing, pondering about the stillness and peace of winter. Gave me the inspiration to create this journal, make it beautiful. And you know what? There's so many starts to the new year, so many things we want to start. But I think one thing I want to practice with is just being more comfortable talking with you here, being more comfortable behind the camera, which I have grown by leaps and bounds. I'm celebrating that. I'm celebrating the growth, confident steps that I've taken. But I think more than that, it's even just being comfortable behind the camera without having a plan. So this is a challenge for me. Usually I like to have a little idea of where my journal is going. But I figured, well, this is part of the challenge that I'm giving myself and also that I'm wanting to give to you. I want you to see me just as I am. I want our connections to be real, to be authentic, to be true to who we are. Just as I appreciate others who are that way on video or on their podcasts, those are the ones that I'm drawn to. And yeah, maybe it's gonna be me just babbling about some things that are not so important. And if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. And I realize that actually I need to start by being okay with it. It starts with me being accepting of myself just as I am. There's still more growth and progress and learning to be done in the areas of confidence for me, and especially feeling deserving of that confidence, feeling worthy of that confidence. So this is a big one for me this year. And it's something that I'm just thinking, reflecting on right now. I think it's a good thing to just take the time to do this little project for yourself. I know most of us don't have much time, but we can make the time for what we want. I'm also learning to just let go of what things have been or what I feel I have to control and just let it be. Go with the flow. I know a lot of people have words for their year, and I have had it too. If you've watched some of my other videos, there's a video specifically that I'm sharing that. One word, one craft book for each year. So far they've been self-care, self-love, confidence, oh yes, and creativity. I think that's what it was. So those have been big ones for me. And I'm still thinking, I think I'm going to give myself the month of January to just decide on what I want for this year. Nothing is telling me I have to already have it figured out. That's what this slow month is for me, making sure of my wishes, my dreams, and my steps towards making them happen. I just did all my cutouts. I'm going to organize them a bit. These are all my little phrases, which you'll see how I use them after. I put all my little boxes in one place. So I have a couple big ones, just in case I wanted to add some quotes in. And then these are for my questions, which are here. I'll put them there. And these are all the extra little beautiful pictures and decor. So as you notice, there's a lot of blues in here. Blues because it makes me think of winter. Pinks because it's my favorite color. And blues, I don't know about you, but it's so easy to get into the winter blues in January, especially when I'm not that excited about what is to come, that I dread a little bit more. Maybe because I don't have clarity in what I'm doing, or some of my goals and wishes are a little bit out there in the blue. But anything for a bit more cheer in this January month. So that's why I've included the pinks and the blues. as well, because I think it's a good reminder for me that the winter blues can also be a beautiful thing. No need to let myself sulk in the blues when I can use them to inspire me and cheer me up in some way. Anyway, let's get started. So I have this picture, which is also from the cover. Not sure if I want to. I could always make like a little intro page like this. I don't know yet. Okay, I'm just going to put a few things down as I go, and I'm going to maybe make a page for each of the questions to start with. So I'll just cut the first number, the first question, and choose a little box. So these are the important things of my page. I'm not sure how I want to put them, so I'm just going to play around. Like I can do it any way that I feel inspired to do it. Maybe I'll start with that. I'll just glue down as I go. You know me, I need to start gluing right away. I think I like these numbers cut out a bit better. I love the circle shapes, even if I don't notice it so much on my page. I think any way that you make it is going to be beautiful. I'm trusting my instincts here. For this one, I'm putting it right underneath the question. So I'm just keeping the same order of the questions. What if I want to leave some space for other things? And I like the box because it kind of gives me a place to start. That way I don't feel too overwhelmed with the empty page. I know there's lots of planners, lots of journals out there, which is wonderful because it gives you the chance to choose and decide which one calls out to you, which one fits your fancy, maybe your style, your preference. So this year I haven't actually looked at any other journals. I don't know, I just felt inspired to make mine totally from scratch. I kind of wanted to make each page different. So here at the top, the bottom, I guess it's the top middle, either middle or the bottom right. This is my playtime. Oh, I'm going to do it this way. I'm even going to put the text a little bit inside. So if you've seen some of my other journals, you'll notice that I use all kinds of ways to fill in some texts because that's really fun for me. Okay, and my last question. I really like this because it kind of gives me a little clarity towards things that I want to ask myself, journal about. Some years I just allow any question to come to mind and I reflect on those, but this year I wanted a little bit more structure. I think there's times and seasons for both. I'm really going wild here. And I think I'm going to end here with my note to self. I love this beautiful winter scene. Makes me happy because I feel the coziness of home, the lights, the sparkles, and the part of nature that makes me feel wintry. So here I get to write the year because I might use this booklet for a few years, this journal. And I'm going to add this here, I think, and I can always write something else. There's lots of options. I would be curious to see what you come up with. I'm sure you can make and create a beautiful design. So, and I encourage you to use other materials that you have as well. Maybe you have some other old papers or old notebooks. I really also like adding other kinds of papers, lined papers, like for example, some of this old paper. This could even be really pretty. Look, I love that it's got some of the yellow here. I'm going to try this. Again, I'm just having fun. That's what this is all about. Kind of like to blend both pages together, so that's my way of doing it. And it doesn't take up too much space. I also like keeping the margins. So here, if I wanted to add a little touch of this, I could also the corners. Here, make the bottom corner. So this isn't really necessary, but it brings a little bit of variety and a little bit of warmth, also color. Kind of like these as well to use them as pockets. I could always add an extra little box like this. So I'm just going to add glue to the sides. If you've been here for a while, you know that I love these little notebooks because they're so versatile. I like that there's no lines. I can do whatever I want. I can doodle, I can draw, I can paint. And if I want to write in it, I can try to write straight, or I can write crooked, or I can glue some lined paper. There's so much more freedom, I think, from having a little notebook like that. Oh, this is the fun part where I get to decorate and add a little bit more fun to this. So this is part of the project. See where they would fit best. I love the clock. It makes me think of starting the new year. So what am I going to start doing? Maybe the clock is good. It fits in with the start. First steps. Let's see, where can I put the other clock? What am I going to stop doing? Hardest parts of the year. Could kind of look nice as a start there. Oh, here's my Happy New Year. I also have little notebooks that I like to rip out pages from so I can add a bit more text. I have an envelope if I want to add something. It's quite big though. Happy New Year. I could add something in there. I could also add it just like as a page like this. So there's plenty of ways to do it. I like writing myself a letter at the start of the new year, so I think I'm going to use that envelope for that. I do have a place for a note to self, or is it? But it's a little small. This could be anything. It could even be some highlights. It could be some photos I want to add from my past year. It could be some little magazine cutouts of secret wishes for the new year. It's kind of like my time to imagine big, dream big, to kind of claim these things for the year. I notice that whatever I put on paper, whatever I add to my journals, somehow it comes to pass. Somehow I'm motivated to do something about it. How beautiful is that? Just a touch of nature. Okay, I want to make sure I have something on each page. So there's something I was eager to find out from you, those who watch my video. Do you prefer I journal here on video, or do you prefer I just do flip throughs? I know this takes a lot longer because I'm here talking about it as I do it, but maybe it's funner. Maybe you prefer that. Me showing you the process of how I do it. I just don't want it to get boring or to get samey. So you have to tell me in the comments. Please tell me. Okay, what is some beautiful ways to use all these pictures here? So I have some flowers left and I have all these left. So I haven't told you yet what I'm using these for. I love any little phrases or words that bring things to mind. You know how sometimes you're overwhelmed with things to where you can't find clarity on the one thing to start with or the one thing to do because you have such a long list or such a filled mind. That's what I love about these. They're just little phrases, and I wrote these relating it to a new year, relating it to the season of winter, relating it to January. Any little thing, word or phrase that came to mind that made me happy, that inspired me. And it wasn't a whole sentence either. And I like to put these around my journal because when I go back to my journal, I just reflect on that, or I tell myself a sentence, or maybe I make up a little affirmation with that phrase, and it just seems to cheer me up right at that moment. For example, warm hearts. I just think, okay, what warms my heart right now? I think it's being here with you, knowing that maybe this video will warm somebody's heart and make their day. If it warms your heart as much as it warms my heart to make it, that would make my day. I have tons of these. I think I have little pockets of them, little boxes of them. I have some in little cloth bags. And sometimes I don't know where I place them. But I get lovingly surprised when I find the little bag, like I did this morning. I found a little bag full of these, and they were all related to Christmas and December. And I had forgotten about them. I had forgotten that I made them. So I just sat still for a few minutes, picked up a few, and just let them speak to me in that moment. I think this is good for the brain as well, because it's a little challenge for your mind to think of something that goes along with it, to personalize it in some way, to relate it to what you're doing or what is happening in your life. So, how good must that be? It's definitely a little creative challenge as well. Future pathway, continue onwards. So, for example, this one, I could even make it go on the page related to what am I going to continue doing this year? See, it would kind of motivate me onwards. Ties in with that. So that's one idea. I might glue them around my pages. And the rest of them, I might even put them in a little pocket. I don't know yet. I will let myself be inspired. I'm just inspired already, reading them over again. Cozy moments. Oh, so many things that make me feel cozy right now. Pondering presence. This reminds me that just being in the moment, being in this present helps me to ponder on those important things. Snow light peas. So maybe they might not make sense to you. They might sound a little childish, a little silly. Snow light peace. Oh, but there's something about the snow, the light shining on the snow. It just brings me a sense of peace. Like nothing else could go wrong. I don't think of anything hasty or rushed or turbulent when I'm just surrounded by that white snow or snowy light. Like the other day, we were driving home and the sun was shining on the snow. It just looked magnificent, and there was that presence of peace. I didn't know how else to describe it. So sometimes these give you ideas of how to describe certain emotions and feelings too. When you don't know how to put it into words, you can just use one of these. Winter wonders, winter wisdom. There is something amazing about the winter wisdom because I love to curl up with a good book. Amazing, that wisdom that I'm learning as I delve into that book. And sometimes, just as I do nothing at all, I gain inner wisdom. Nature listens reminds me that I too can just listen and be. Winter care. Oh, I love that one. I think that's something we could all use a little bit more of. Some winter care. Asking ourselves, what is that winter care that we need? Winter solace. Really crave my alone times during the winter. So there's not always a rhyme or reason. There's not always an explanation for these little emotions and feelings, and there doesn't have to be. Sometimes you can just sit still with that one phrase. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to understand it. Just drink it in. Soak up the goodness. Soak up how it makes you feel. Magic moments. Let's think about those magic moments. Maybe you don't know what they are right now, but when you experience one, you'll know. You'll tell yourself, hey, that's a magical moment. Oh, and if you haven't seen yet, I encourage you to go and just take a few moments to enjoy this video here that I'm going to put for you. It's a beautiful, quiet moment that you can give yourself with some January affirmations. I'm going to see if there's any pretty papers that I can include as well from here that could fit the winter theme. These are quite cute. This is also pretty. It's the same pink tones that I'm using. I know it's hard to use up these beautiful big papers. I kind of save them for, oh, when will I need a huge big sheet of paper like that? And if I cut it all up, I'm going to waste it, but I'm going to stop thinking that way because then I end up not even using them at all. So that's one thing I'm going to stop doing this year. Stop excusing myself from enjoying something. So this matches beautifully, so why not use it? Even thinking of adding a little bit of it as a pocket. curve it like that. I'm going to beautify it a bit as well. So I think all these will kind of help fill up my page as well. Let's see if there's some way I can bring some of this a little bit more into my journal too. Could be a pocket, or it could also be a background for another quote. And this could even be a background for one of these. So this too, I'm just going to leave it as a little paper to open, in case I want a little hidden message in there. Okay, well, before I end, I think I'm going to add this in here. I think it would be beautiful. So I'm just going to fold it in the center of the boxes. And it's right in the center of happy in January. So that kind of fits nicely. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use that calendar for. We will see what inspiration, what idea. But at least I have it for the month of January. And who knows, maybe I'll add one calendar for each month. And this will be my year 2025. Let's see how many I would have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only have 7, so it would take me to half the year. But so a couple days later, here is the final book. I just wanted to do a quick little flip through in case you're curious to see what it turned out like. So here's the cover. I think it's basically the same. I added just a little border and a bit more doodles around. And oops, I didn't even do the front page yet, except adding a few little extra doodles and boxes, lines around. So I'm still going to journal and write a few things here because I love to fill up my pages. And I took a couple days to just answer some of the questions. There's even more space if I want to fill it in a bit more. I put my little phrases in the pockets. Again, here I glued the phrases down, some of the ones that I loved the most, some that spoke to me about the questions, about the topics. I even included a few little quotes throughout. So this is about the highlights of my past year, all the things that I enjoyed, some of the accomplishments, some of the highs, and a couple quotes I wrote on the topic. The more I leave out, the more I highlight what I leave in. My highlights are not by chance, but by choice. I love that little reminder. I'm happy not because everything is good, but because I can choose to see the good side of everything. What were some of the hardest parts of the last year? So again, I took some time to reflect and write those down because when thinking and planning and hoping and wishing and dreaming for the new year, I really like first contemplating on the last year. So that's why I've included these two questions first, to see where I'm at, to help me make decisions for my next year. Some good things must end to start some better ones. But with it, there's a loss, a miss, a pain to let it go. But always an excitement, a looking forward, a gift in return. Oh, this went along with celebrate endings, because that's also kind of related to the hardest parts of the last year. It's kind of like, okay, turning the page, saying goodbye to it, but also not forgetting about it, still being aware of what those difficult things were, because those are the things that teach me. Heart essentials. So often these little phrases, I just let them speak to me in the moment. But when something really comes that I want to remember, I write it down. So heart essentials, it's down here. When times are tough, I can always return here to my heart essentials, the only place I feel truly at peace with myself, and it allows me to feel at peace with the world around me. Love's warmth, always there to guide me. So this is in relation to this question. Character can only be developed through hard times. That's when the soul is strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. So that's from Helen Keller. I love that quote. In order to be fearless, you have to stand in the middle of your fears. So that's a good one. I wanted to remember that during the hard parts of this coming year, because there will be some, and those are the things that I'm going to remember as well. Those are the things that I'm going to learn from and grow in. So, question 3, what have I learned about myself the past year? Dear you, make peace with the mirror and watch your reflection change. I love that one because I have been having some difficult moments seeing myself in the mirror, especially with my changing body. I wanted to remind myself of this year too. Learn to love yourself first instead of loving the idea of other people loving you. So that's a big one for me, learning to trust myself, accept myself as I am, feel that I'm deserving enough, I'm worthy enough, and that I can decide to validate myself. I don't have to go looking elsewhere for that. So there's a lot of things I learned about myself this past year related to taking time for myself, reflecting, going slower, getting quiet and still. And here, what am I going to stop doing this coming year? Stop worrying about pleasing others so much. Do more of what makes you happy. Yes, that's a key one. Life is better when you stop caring too much. This was a key again. Stop people pleasing. Stop caring too much about what others think. So lots of stops here. So next page, again, I added little boxes to fill it up nicely. And I glued some of the phrases down. Again, I doodled around. So this question, number 5, what am I going to start doing this coming year? And a little quote about starts. There will never be a right time, quote unquote. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. So this is just a good reminder that it's okay if I don't feel ready to start. If I just get started with the way I can, how I can, when I can, that's how to get started. Not going for perfection, but going for doing it. Number 6, what am I going to continue doing this year? So follow what works, but heed the lessons of what doesn't work. That's key as well. Success is not forever. Failure is not the end. It's the courage to continue that counts. So I think continuing with those things that I am doing is what will bring success and what will help me achieve my goals. And if I look back on everything I've started last year, it was the continuing that helped me get to those books I wanted to write or those projects I wanted to do. Some phrases that I added here: cocooning joys, future pathway, continue onwards, dreams and wishes, pondering presence, blissful season, a fresh start. So this goes along with starting. And here a little quote: I don't have to have the strength to go on. Courage is going on and continuing when I don't have the strength. So that's in relation to continue doing. So the last question is 7. What can I do today to take the first step in that direction? So related to these starts and these continuings and these stop doings, I wrote a few, not too many, because I don't want to bombard myself. I don't want to overwhelm myself this year. I want to simplify. I wrote all these down, but it's not like I'm going to have to check them off. It's kind of like telling the universe, this is my wish. This is what I'm looking forward to. This is what I'm excited about. And these are things that I love to see in my new year, even if I get to try out just a little tiny piece of it. So some first steps would be listen, slow down, be still, so I can know. So I can know which way to go, so I can know what to say no to. So this is the key for anything, I think. Any of those goals and wishes. Here again, related to that first step in the right direction, I want more focus, which for me means follow one course until success. So that's just a good little reminder for myself. And here is my note to self. So I added some doodles, made it beautiful, and I'm still going to take a little time to write this for me myself with an open heart. And I glued in here the calendar, and I added a bit more doodles. And also, this is something for me to fill up. So I'm looking forward to continuing this. Take a little bit more time during my morning journaling, and that's it. Just in case this can help give you a few ideas or inspirations in case you wanted to try out a little journal for your new year to come. And wishing you all the best, amazing new year. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your encouragement, all your comments. I love reading them, and I'm always so touched and encouraged by them. Thank you for showing up for my simple videos, even if they go a little bit all over the place. I will try this year to be a little bit more focused, and I will continue to come here and show you some of my journals, because I actually have quite a few that I haven't done flip throughs of yet. Maybe in case it's something you look forward to, feel free to come back. And till next time, all the best and lots of love.